Well, hello folks, I'm L.A. Little and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. Where we take a look at these markets, we do it from a neoclassical perspective each time, asking ourselves what happened today and what does it tell us about the coming days. I do this show 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursday. It's broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time, archived on YouTube, and it's on the channel, L.A. Little. If you haven't subscribed, do subscribe. Reach up there on the right hand side, click on subscribe, become a subscriber. Anytime content is pushed, you'll get notification. As far as these markets, they did not do what was expected. The expectation is that you'd get some sort of a sideways to down move, not to be up. They tried all day long to push it down. Matter of fact, they pushed it up to start with, pushed it down, went red, and then they came back and held it the remainder of the day. So it's 2 days running now that we were looking for things that did not happen. And when that happens, the first thing I start thinking is that I'm reading the wrong script from the wrong book, and have to get back on the right book. And the way you do that is you continue to observe, see how things play out, and get back onto the script that the market's playing with. Now, I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of a sideways action still, but at the same time, it doesn't look to me as if we're going to get any kind of significant pullback anytime soon. Rationality would say, yeah, maybe you should, but at the same time, it's herd instinct when it comes to this. We've got some small gains over in Europe. You got decent gains in some of Asia, Hong Kong in particular. We're going to have the Hang Seng, not the Hang Seng, but the Shanghai opening back up after a week off tonight. And then, oil actually pulled back today, even though the oil services stocks continued higher. Silver jumped higher, and I don't have gold up here, but gold was higher as well. Let's take a look at the charts, see what we've got here tonight. Here's the S&P 500. So it pushes up, more volume, pushes up, gets over this little, or into, I should say, this little Fed bar, right? But it's over this big bar, and that's a key bar. The fact that we got over that bar says that this thing can try to push higher. And so when I'm looking at this, I'm saying to myself, well, this thing's doing everything it should do. From a bullish perspective, right? It's doing everything it should do. It gets the nice big push up, doesn't want to pull back, continues up. It's pressing and pressing, and a lot of times when you come off the bottoms, that's what they do. And so, at this particular point, I've just got to accept the fact that this market doesn't want to pull back, and play it accordingly. So if I look over at the rest of the markets, if we look in particular, I want to go to the Russell next. The Russell is just powering higher. That one had actually set a new low. It also breaks back over the swing point low, both this one and the next one. And so all of these markets at this point are starting to tell us that, in fact, they are going to try and push even higher over the, shall we say, the next few weeks. That's what they're trying to tell us. We'll have to see if that story stays the same as we get a little bit farther out and as earnings season comes into play. And the reason I say that is the first couple of earnings that we got were not stellar. We'll take a look at them here in a minute. NASDAQ also pushing higher, and that was the one that was struggling today, and so was the NDX. You had the big three, Apple, Google, Microsoft, really could get going, but you had some bounce back in the biotech sector, and that allowed these to also finish higher. If we move over and take a look at the sector action, here you're starting to see some breaks of swing point highs. Let's go to the biotech first. So here's the biotech bouncing back today, got over, back under, a little bit less volume. That one actually could pull back from here. But some of these are starting to take off. Here's like real estate, for example. Real estate's over the swing point high. You had the XLP get over the swing point high a couple days ago, and so that one's already pushed to a new high. You got the XLB pressing new highs. This is like a 7-day rally off the bottom. Now realize, when we're looking at it on the daily, it's a big difference from what you see on the weekly, but they're coming back into these swing points now to try to test them again on the weeklies. And that's the bottoms of the swing points, which is the retest, regenerate zones. So there's some of these, and I'm going to look at the XLF next. There's some of these that are pushing back up to test swing point highs. Those breaks of swing point highs would turn this this short-term time frame back to sideways. So if you think about it from a perspective of a trend, you're going to have downtrends on the weekly still pretty much across the board, and on the dailies you're going to have some uptrends come into play now. Not uptrends, but sideways trends come into play now on some of these sectors, and that is how you slowly get turns. If we look at the overseas markets, and now it started in Germany and France a couple days ago, and that is that we got a push up, and I'm trying to bring up those markets. We get a push up, look like it should pull back, but they didn't. And I'm going to go to the DAX first. The DAX was coming up into, actually it was the CAX that did it, but the DAX was coming up into this bar. The low of it was 98.61. Got into it, was testing into it a couple days ago. Didn't turn back, pushed on up into that bar, and that was our first indication that this strength was for real, and it was probably going to try and hold. If we look at the CAX, now the CAX was the one that actually gave us the signal a couple days ago. Let's grab that one. And that signal was when it tested the top of this bar, went over back under and failed. But since then it's gone on up and pushed on up, and now you're pushing the swing point high here with more volume. And so in each of these markets, even though we should get some sort of a pullback in each of these markets, the indications that told us that we should see some sort of sideways to down action did not play out over the last 2 days. And as I said at the top of the show, when I see that kind of a situation, the first thing I think is, okay, either the market's wrong or I'm wrong, and usually it's not the market. So, we give it one more day, we see what it wants to do, but at this point, the market's definitely telling us that there's more strength there than we expected. If there's more strength, that says you really don't want to be trying to go against that strength. You want to go with it. So any kind of a pullback really is going to be a buying opportunity when it finally comes. And so that would be my bottom line here tonight. I'm going to cut it short. I've got some other business to tend to, and so I'll leave it at that. As far as today and tomorrow, it was higher. Tomorrow, I think you're going to see again some sort of sideways action, but after that, I do think you are going to get some sort of a pullback in here somewhere fairly soon. That's it for tonight. Have a great one. Oh, and I'll leave it at that. As far as the pullback, don't expect a big one, right? They're not going to give you a lot now. There's buyers out there. That's what happened today. It's always sticky when they try to turn it, but once they give it to you, it will come and it will go fairly quickly. Until next time, I'm LA. This is and was your daily NeoTA wrap. Have a great night, and I'll see you next time.